From the beginning, I knew pretty much the history of my mother's parents, Soledad and Lourdes Gonzalez, and their journey from Mexico to the United States. I also knew that my father's father, my grandfather, Jesus Perez, was married to my grandmother, Josefa, or as she was called, Josefina, and that she died in El Paso. But that was really about it. I also knew and witnessed that Jesus went on to have an immense second family that flourished in the United States. Fascinating stories were told to me by family in great detail regarding Soledad and Lourdes, but not so much about Jesus and Josefa. I have come to know, however, that there is a story that, at least to my knowledge, may have never been told completely to me or anyone else in great detail regarding Josefa's life. This seemingly untold story on the surface lay among a few scattered pictures we had of Josefa with her young sons, Veto and Chito, one or two posed family photos, and a wedding photo of her and my grandfather Jesus Perez, as well as a photo of a headstone bearing the name Josefina Perez. These photos, to me, existed without very much explanation, and all I ever knew was that Josefa was married to my grandfather, and they lived and raised their two sons to adulthood in Pittsburgh, California. And when her sons went away fighting in the Pacific during World War II, she came down with tuberculosis and ended up dying in El Paso in 1946. Not much else was ever said, nor explanation offered to me about her beginnings, her marriage, her home, her life with her two sons, and her sad ending far from her home in California. I knew that Josefa was from a large Escandon family in El Paso, where I live today, because I had attended several Escandon family reunions with cousins and uncles in El Paso over the years, but I never inquired about my grandmother's life, specifically with any of the elder Escandon family members who unfortunately are all gone now. I bear full responsibility for never inquiring in detail about my grandmother, and sadly, while growing up, to me, without those few scattered pictures, it was as if she never existed. But stories have to be told or they die, and when they die, we can't remember who we are or how and why we are even here. I truly believe that if I do not tell Josefa's story now, stitched together from historical records and all the things she left behind, someone else will tell it for her, and I may not like the telling by someone other than an Escandon. I apologize if anyone is offended by what I have uncovered to be obvious, common sense truths about my grandmother's life and sad ending. I do not intend to cast aspersions on anyone's character in the forthcoming videos, but as they say, what was lost in the fire, I have been able to find some obvious truths in the ashes. Obvious truths that do not seem to bend or break regarding the life of my grandmother, my abue, Josefa Escandon Villazana Perez, the girl from Sombrerete, Zacatecas, Mexico. And if obvious truths and common sense conclusions regarding Josefa's life are of no interest to you, do not view the soon-to-be-released videos entitled Once Upon a Time in the West, which is a prologue to the things I've left behind. Go on believing, like some, that our abue's life was just a side note, as described in the autobiography Pocho, acting as if she never existed.